We regret to inform you that your position has been terminated, effective immediately. The message glowed on my phone screen at 3:17 a.m. while I lay in a hospital bed, still groggy from pain medication. My appendectomy incision throbbed as I read the text again, unable to process what was happening. After 7 years of dedication to Nexus Technologies, I was being fired by CEO Richard Keller via text message while on medical leave. My name is Daniel Reeves. Until that moment, I was the director of operations at Nexus Technologies, a mid-sized software company I'd helped build from the ground up. I'd sacrificed weekends, missed family gatherings, postponed vacations, all for the company. This has to be a mistake, I whispered to the empty hospital room. It wasn't. I scrolled through the rest of Richard's message, my heart racing faster with each word. Your recent performance issues and excessive time off have forced this difficult decision. All company property must be returned within 48 hours. Your final paycheck will reflect appropriate deductions. Performance issues? I just closed our biggest client deal last month. Excessive time off? This was my first medical leave in 7 years. The heart rate monitor beside me started beeping rapidly. A nurse rushed in. Mr. Reeves, you need to calm down, she said, checking my vitals. Your blood pressure is spiking. I showed her my phone. My boss just fired me while I'm recovering from surgery. Her eyes widened. That can't be legal. As she adjusted my medication, a new message appeared on my phone. Not from Richard this time. Daniel, this is Margaret Chen from the board. We need to talk. Urgently. 2 weeks earlier, everything had been different. I was putting the finishing touches on a presentation for our quarterly board meeting. My assistant, Zoe, knocked on my office door. The numbers look amazing, she said, peering over my shoulder at the projected growth charts. We're going to blow past last year's targets. I nodded, allowing myself a rare moment of pride. 7 consecutive quarters of growth. The board's going to be pleased. You mean Richard is going to take all the credit? Zoe muttered. I gave her a warning look. Office walls had ears, especially when the CEO's office was just down the hall. Richard Keller had founded Nexus Technologies 12 years ago. I joined 5 years later when the company was struggling. Together, we'd turned things around. But lately, Richard had changed. More secretive, more erratic, making decisions without consulting the leadership team. Still, he was the boss, and I was loyal to the company. Just make sure the board packets are ready for Thursday, I told Zoe. Later that afternoon, I was reviewing client contracts when Richard burst into my office. Daniel, I need the Westfield contract numbers immediately. I pulled up the file. They're right here. We're set to renew next month at the increased rate we discussed. Richard leaned over my shoulder, studying the screen. His cologne was overpowering. Who authorized these terms? He demanded. You did, in the executive meeting last month. That's not what I remember. His voice had an edge I'd never heard before. I pulled up the meeting minutes. It's all documented here. Richard's face darkened. I'm making changes to the leadership structure. We'll discuss it later. He stormed out, leaving me confused. Something wasn't right. That evening, as I was leaving the office, I noticed lights still on in the finance department. Our CFO, Lisa Patel, was hunched over her computer. Working late? I asked. She jumped, clearly startled. Daniel, I didn't hear you. Everything okay? Lisa hesitated. Just reviewing some numbers that aren't adding up. Anything I can help with? No, she said too quickly. It's probably nothing. But her expression said otherwise. The next morning, I woke to a stabbing pain in my lower abdomen. By afternoon, I was in the emergency room, acute appendicitis, emergency surgery required. I need to make some calls, I told the doctor as they prepped me for surgery. I managed to text Richard and my team before they wheeled me into the operating room. The last thing I remembered was thinking about the board meeting I would miss. Then darkness. 3 days after surgery, still in the hospital, I received Richard's termination text and moments later Margaret Chen's cryptic message. I called her immediately. Daniel, thank God, Margaret answered. Are you all right? We just heard about your surgery. I'm recovering, but Richard fired me by text an hour ago. Silence on the line. Then, he did what? Fired me, while I'm on medical leave, for performance issues and excessive time off. This is the first the board has heard of this, Margaret said, her voice tight with controlled anger. And it directly contradicts information we've just received. What information? I can't discuss it over the phone. The board has called an emergency meeting for tomorrow. Can you attend? I looked down at my hospital gown, the IV in my arm. I'm still hospitalized. We'll come to you then. This is too important to wait. After hanging up, I lay back, mind racing despite the pain medication. What had Richard done, and why target me now? My phone buzzed with a text from Lisa. Heard what happened. We need to talk, not over phone. Be careful. Before I could respond, another text arrived, from Richard. Any attempts to contact board members will be considered hostile actions. Legal has been instructed to proceed accordingly. A chill ran through me. Richard was threatening me. But why? The next morning, I awoke to find a nurse helping me into a wheelchair. You have visitors in the conference room, she explained. Hospital policy says you can't have more than 2 visitors in your room at once. How many are there? 5. They looked very serious. My heart pounded as she wheeled me down the hallway. When the conference room door opened, I saw the entire Nexus Technologies board of directors seated around a table. Margaret Chen stood immediately. Daniel, thank you for meeting with us under these circumstances. The others nodded solemnly. What's going on? I asked. Margaret placed a folder on the table. 3 days ago, Lisa Patel came to the board with evidence of financial irregularities, large sums being transferred to offshore accounts, falsified records, and all of it linked to Richard's personal authorization codes. I felt lightheaded. Embezzlement? Approximately $7 million over the past 18 months. The amount stunned me. I had no idea. We know, said James Whitaker, the board chairman, but Richard is claiming you were his accomplice. What? He presented emails and documents with your signature authorizing these transfers. My mind raced. They're forgeries. I never signed anything like that. We suspected as much, Margaret said, especially when Lisa showed us the actual server logs. But Richard was desperate to cover his tracks. When he learned you were hospitalized, he saw an opportunity to frame you while you were literally incapacitated. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. 7 years of loyalty, countless late nights, all the sacrifices, and Richard had tried to destroy me to save himself. Where is he now? I asked. That's the problem, James said grimly. Richard has disappeared, along with another $2 million that was transferred yesterday. And that's why we're here, Margaret added. We need your help to find him. The board's plan was both simple and audacious. They would publicly announce my promotion to interim CEO, claiming Richard had taken a personal leave of absence. The hope was that Richard, monitoring company news from wherever he was hiding, would react, perhaps contacting allies still within the company. It's risky, I told them from my hospital bed, where I'd returned after our meeting. Richard still has friends at Nexus. We're aware, Margaret said, but we've quietly secured the servers and financial systems, and we need someone the employees trust to keep things stable while we sort this out. What about my firing? Completely unauthorized and illegal, James assured me. Our legal team is already preparing documentation to invalidate it. I stared at the ceiling, weighing my options. I could walk away from this mess, find another job once I recovered, or I could fight for the company I'd helped build. I'll do it, I finally said, but I want complete transparency with the employees, no more secrets. The board members exchanged glances. Agreed, Margaret said. We'll make the announcement tomorrow. After they left, I called Zoe. I need you to bring me something from my office. Your office has been locked since yesterday, she said. Security orders. Whose orders? Richard's? Yes, no one's allowed in. That's about to change. The board is announcing me as interim CEO tomorrow. Silence, then. What happened to Richard? It's complicated. I'll explain everything soon. But right now I need you to find a way into my office. In my desk drawer, there's a black external hard drive. I need it. Why? Because I've been keeping my own records for the past year, ever since Richard started acting strange. 6 hours later, as night fell over the hospital, Zoe slipped into my room with the hard drive. "You wouldn't believe what's happening at the office," she whispered. "FBI agents everywhere. They're seizing computers and files." My stomach dropped. The board didn't mention FBI involvement. It just happened, 2 hours ago. She handed me the drive. "What's on this?" I connected it to my laptop. Insurance. For months I'd been documenting Richard's erratic behavior, copying emails where he contradicted previous instructions, saving meeting recordings where he denied decisions he'd made. It had started as self-protection. Now it might be evidence. I opened a folder labeled Financial Discrepancies and showed Zoe a spreadsheet. 3 months ago, I noticed budget allocations that didn't match our actual spending. When I questioned Richard, he blamed accounting errors, but I kept tracking them. Zoe's eyes widened as she scanned the numbers. He was siphoning money all this time? And setting me up to take the fall if anyone noticed. I closed the laptop. Tomorrow's going to be chaos. What do you need me to do? Be my eyes and ears. I'm stuck here for at least another day. After Zoe left, I received a text from an unknown number. "Parking garage, level 3, midnight tomorrow, come alone." Richard had taken the bait. Against medical advice, I checked myself out of the hospital the next afternoon. The incision site throbbed with every movement, but I couldn't lead from a hospital bed, and I couldn't meet Richard there either. The office was exactly as Zoe had described. FBI agents interviewing employees, boxes of files being carried out. I made my way to the conference room where the board had convened an emergency all-staff meeting. When I walked in, conversation stopped. All eyes turned to me. Margaret stood. "Everyone, as we just announced, Daniel Reeves will be serving as interim CEO while we navigate this situation." A murmur ran through the crowd. I could read the confusion and suspicion on their faces. I stepped to the front of the room, feeling the pull of my stitches. "I know you all have questions," I began, "and you deserve answers. Richard Keller is under investigation for embezzlement of company funds. The FBI is gathering evidence. This is obviously shocking news, and it will affect all of us." The room erupted in exclamations and questions. I held up my hand. "I promise complete transparency moving forward, but right now our priority is stabilizing the company and protecting your jobs. The board has already secured our operational funds. Client projects will continue. Paychecks will not be affected." Lisa Patel stood up from the back of the room. "I've reviewed our financials. The missing funds were taken from investment accounts, not operating capital. We're financially stable." This seemed to calm some fears. I continued. "I'll be meeting with each department over the next few days. Until then, please continue your work as normal, and if anyone has information that might be relevant to the investigation, please speak with me or the FBI agents privately." As the meeting broke up, Lisa approached me. "You look terrible," she said bluntly. "Should you even be out of the hospital?" "Probably not, but I couldn't stay there." I lowered my voice. "Richard contacted me. He wants to meet tonight." Her eyes widened. "You can't go alone." "I have to. He'll bolt if he sees anyone else." "Then at least wear a wire. Let the FBI handle this." I shook my head. "Not yet. I need to hear what he has to say first." Lisa frowned. "This isn't just about the money, is it? It's personal for you." 7 years, Lisa. 7 years of my life dedicated to this company, to working with him, and he tried to destroy me. Just be careful. Richard is desperate, and desperate people are dangerous. That night, I arrived at the parking garage 30 minutes early, parking my car on level 2 and taking the stairs up. Each step sent pain shooting through my abdomen. The garage was nearly empty at midnight, just a few scattered cars. I positioned myself where I could see the entrance ramp but remained partially hidden behind a concrete pillar. At 12:05, a black SUV with tinted windows pulled onto the level, moving slowly. It parked about 50 feet away from me. The driver's door opened and Richard stepped out. He looked different, unshaven, hair disheveled, designer suit replaced by jeans and a dark hoodie, but his trademark arrogance remained intact as he scanned the garage. "I know you're here, Daniel," he called out. "Let's not waste time." I stepped out from behind the pillar. "Hello, Richard." His eyes narrowed as he took in my appearance, pale, moving gingerly, clearly still recovering. "You look like hell," he said. "Getting fired by text while recovering from emergency surgery will do that." He shrugged. "Business is business." "Is that what you call embezzling $9 million? Business?" Richard's face hardened. "You always were self-righteous. That's why it was so easy to set you up. The loyal company man, so busy following rules he never sees the bigger picture." "And what picture is that? You stealing from the company we built? Betraying everyone who trusted you?" "Built?" Richard laughed. "I founded Nexus. It's mine. I'm just taking what I deserve." I took a step closer, ignoring the pain. "Where's the money, Richard?" "Safe, which is more than I can say for you if you don't listen carefully." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a flash drive. "This contains evidence implicating board members in my financial irregularities. Release it to the authorities and everyone goes down, not just me." "You're bluffing." "Am I? Why do you think they made you interim CEO instead of taking control themselves? They're covering their tracks, Daniel, and using you as their shield." Doubt crept in. The board's eagerness to put me in charge had seemed strange. Richard sensed my hesitation. "Here's my offer, $1 million, transferred to an account of your choosing. All you have to do is corrupt the financial records on the server. You have the access now." "You want me to destroy evidence?" "I want you to save yourself. The FBI will find someone to blame. It'll be you if you're not careful." I studied the man I'd worked alongside for 7 years. Had I ever really known him? "Why?" I asked simply. "We were successful. The company was growing. Why risk everything?" Something flickered across Richard's face. Regret? Shame? It vanished quickly. "My wife's cancer treatments," he said quietly. "Insurance wouldn't cover the experimental procedures. I needed money fast." I stared at him. "Nancy has cancer." "Had. She's in remission now, but the bills—" He shook his head. "It started small, just borrowing from the company, then it spiraled." For a moment I almost felt sympathy, then I remembered. "Nancy left you 2 years ago. I attended your divorce party." Richard's expression hardened again. Worth a try. "Was any of it real? Our friendship? The company mission?" "Business is business," he repeated coldly. "Now do we have a deal or not?" I reached for the flash drive. "Let me see what you've got." As Richard extended his hand, bright lights suddenly flooded the garage. FBI agents emerged from behind vehicles, weapons drawn. "FBI! Hands in the air!" Richard's face contorted with rage. "You set me up!" "Business is business," I echoed. As agents handcuffed Richard, I pulled aside the lead FBI agent, showing him the flash drive. "He claims this implicates board members." The agent nodded. "We'll investigate all angles. Your wire captured everything." I touched the small microphone hidden under my shirt, the one Lisa had insisted on despite my initial refusal. Richard glared at me as they led him away. "You're a fool, Daniel. They'll turn on you too." "Maybe, but I'd deal with that when the time came." The next 6 weeks were the hardest of my professional life. The FBI investigation expanded, examining every aspect of Nexus Technologies' finances. 2 board members resigned after evidence emerged of their knowledge of Richard's activities. Client relationships needed reassuring. Employees required leadership through uncertainty. And through it all, I was still recovering physically. 1 month after Richard's arrest, I called an all-company meeting. I've been interim CEO for 4 weeks now, I began. In that time, we've cooperated fully with federal investigators. We've maintained all client deliverables, and we've begun rebuilding our company culture based on transparency and integrity. I looked around the room at the faces of people who had weathered this storm alongside me. Today, the board has asked me to accept the position of CEO permanently. I've agreed with conditions. Murmurs rippled through the audience. First, we're establishing an ethics committee with representatives from every department. Second, all executive compensation will be transparent to all employees. And third, we're allocating 5% of annual profits to an employee ownership program. The room erupted in applause. Later that afternoon, as I was finally clearing out Richard's former office, now mine, Zoe brought in a package. "This just arrived for you." Inside was a handwritten note from Richard and a small chess piece, a knight. The note read, "Daniel, well played. For what it's worth, the company is in better hands now. Some of us aren't meant to wear the white hat. I placed the chess piece on my new desk, not as a trophy, but as a reminder that loyalty should never be blind, trust must be earned, and principles matter more than position." My phone buzzed with a text from Lisa. "Board meeting in 10, ready to show them who's really in charge now?" I smiled as I typed my response. On my way. And this time, everything will be on the record. The pain in my side had finally faded. The company was healing too. And as for me, I was exactly where I needed to be. Sometimes getting fired is just the beginning of finding your true place. Your dedication to this company no longer matches our evaluation of your worth. Those were the exact words my boss used when he slashed my salary by 40% after 15 years of loyal service. I sat there, stunned, as he shuffled papers across his mahogany desk, not even bothering to meet my eyes. "I'm David Mitchell. For 15 years, I poured my heart and soul into Vertex Technologies. Canceled vacations for emergency projects. Missed my daughter's ballet recitals for client meetings. Worked weekends to meet impossible deadlines. I believed in what we built, a software solutions company that had grown from a 5-person startup to a regional powerhouse with over 200 employees. And this was my reward. The market is shifting, David. We need to reallocate resources." Marcus Finley, the CEO and my boss for all 15 years, finally looked up. His expression was blank, like he was discussing the weather rather than gutting my livelihood. "Your department isn't performing at the level we need. Take the cut or—" He left the threat hanging. The message was clear: accept it or leave. My mind raced to my mortgage, my daughter's college fund, my wife's recent medical bills. I couldn't just walk away, not yet. "I understand," I lied, my voice hollow. I didn't understand at all. As I walked out of his office, I noticed the brand new Rolex on his wrist. The company had just announced record profits last quarter. Something inside me cracked that day. The next 3 months were hell. I still showed up every day, still managed my team of developers, still delivered results. But something had changed. The company I once loved now felt like a prison. Every morning I'd stare at myself in the bathroom mirror, barely recognizing the tired, defeated man looking back. "You okay, Dad?" my daughter Emma asked one morning, catching me lost in thought at the breakfast table. At 17, she was perceptive beyond her years.